we do that again? Is that what a super regional is supposed to feel like? Oh my goodness, this is amazing.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, the Omaha edition of the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. This is going to be a little bit of a post-series show. We're not really doing post-game pod, but we're going to go ahead and release Monday's show earlier so you can enjoy it as well. We're going to talk a little bit about the game and exactly what happened over the weekend. It was a really good weekend. We didn't even have to use our closer. 15 runs, outscored them 15-0. Back-to-back shutouts, about as good as you can expect. But first, today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. And also, thank you for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So do us a favor, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Upvote the video itself, and of course hit the bell for notifications when we release a new video, which happens quite frequently. We're going to release this one on Sunday night, Monday's show, so more people have a chance to enjoy it as Ole Miss fans do a victory lap. They were a 5-0 winner over USM today in Game 2 after a 10-0 win yesterday, and nobody is going to talk about this. This isn't going to... this is something that is amazing simply to me. But nobody is going to talk about this. But they scored 15 runs. Only the last run, the 15th run, was as a result of a home run. The rest were manufactured. I even saw them bunt against the shift. They did all the stuff the correct way. My only question is, where was Brandon Johnson? Is he okay? Josh Mallets did a fine job, got the save. Ole Miss goes to Omaha. But is Brandon Johnson okay? That's all I'm asking about. Was he being held out for Game 3? Because I think a situation similar to last year where Taylor Broadway started Game 3 against Arizona was afoot for the USM series. They were trying to save that arm till tomorrow because I think Brandon Johnson was likely going to start. But what a day by Hunter Elliot, man. That is something else. Now, I want you to leave a message in the comment section below, okay? In the comment section below. Tell me, A, your favorite part about the series, the nails player, we'll call it, the MVP of the game, and 3, what do you look forward to seeing in Omaha? And that's what I mean, more along the lines from us, not from Ole Miss Baseball. So do that, comment section below. What did you like most, nails player, and what do you want to see from Locked On Ole Miss during Omaha? Put that in the comment section below, and we will have that information. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we are looking forward to, and we'll tell you exactly what is going on. But, eventually, it is going to be pretty cool. I can't wait to break that information to you. Also, Derek Vandy Griff will be on the show Tuesday. He's going to record tomorrow morning, Monday morning at about 10 o'clock, and then we'll do that for Tuesday's show. So you'll get his perspective on this series tomorrow. But right now, what you have is me. And, man, that was as impressive of a super regional as Ole Miss has ever had. Even them getting out of Louisiana, it didn't look like this. This looked easy. I'm not saying it was easy. You saw my videos last week of how USM was a worthy team and how they deserved to host and how it was going to be a tough time. You heard from Jason Bailey about how tough that pitching staff was going to be. You saw today what Tanner Hall was like and how much of a struggle it was to hit him. He was good. But this is probably, right now, the hottest team in the country. And with Tennessee losing, any school in the field can win the national championship. Any school. Whoever makes it in. There's a chance Auburn, with one more win, knocks out Oregon State. There's a chance UConn, with one more win, knocks out Stanford. And that's just the Ole Miss's side of the bracket. Arkansas and UNC. There's a chance Arkansas goes through. There's a chance UNC forces a game 3. Should be interesting. But Tennessee's out, so Notre Dame is going. You got the East Carolina-Texas series that we have to wait to find out about. Texas A&M has punched their ticket. And what's the other series? Put that down in the comment section below as well. Now, I'm just really, really excited about this. And this video is probably not going to be one of those 38-minute marathon sessions. It's probably going to be kind of to the point on this. But I'm just over the moon, especially what this team has gone through over the last 3 months. Picture that. Whenever you walked out of that stadium against Alabama, walked out of Swayze Field after getting swept at home by Alabama, do you think there was any chance that something like this could happen? Now, at the beginning of the season, everybody will say, and people will post down here, the goal was Omaha. And some people set that goal because they didn't think we were going to get there. They didn't think we had the pitching to do it. But we did. And they caught fire at the right time. And balls seem to find their way into holes. And this team right now is hot. And they are going to go in that first game. And it's either against a team that they took 2 out of 3 when everything was going when everything was wonky, or Oregon State, which is a free shot. It's a free shot at this point. Go try to win game 1. That is the goal. Go beat that first team. That is the goal. And then move on and try to beat the second team. Avoid the loser's bracket for as long as possible. I mean, I'm not telling you anything special there. I mean, this is high quality commentary from your side, but I'm just really excited about Omaha. So I'm going to ramble a little bit because this team, especially this team, after what they went through, and to be able to turn this around, and it was probably the Arkansas series where they lost 2 out of 3, but played really well. It was probably that series that kind of snapped them out of it. Because after that, I think they swept Missouri. And everybody's like, well, is Missouri really bad or is Ole Miss okay? That was the narrative then. And then they went down to LSU, that they've won 1 series since 1982 and swept LSU. And they were like, okay, what's going on? In between those, there was a game at Pete Taylor Park, which was probably the most important game of the season. Because they got to walk into that environment and not be put out at all. It was pretty amazing. And they went down there. And we interviewed Jason Bailey this weekend, and he talked about Southern's pitching staff. I think they're the number 2 ERA in the country. And they have some really good arms. They absolutely do. I think props go out to them. I just think we played really well, and they ran into a buzzsaw. But you take those arms and you figure out how to basically punish them and put them under pressure. And whenever something was 50-50, and I'm not talking about replay or anything like that, but something that was that close for them to be able to make a play, a game-winning play, it went the other way. And then they got tight. And that happened in game 1. By the 6th inning, they were, for all intents and purposes, done. And then Hunter Elliot just ate them up. We're going to talk about him the next segment. It was fantastic to see that young kid work. And after 3 years of Doug days, to have another lefty with long hair and that number, it's just uncanny, guys. Just uncanny. I mean, I'm just absolutely fired up that they can move to this next level. Not just move to this next level, move to it like this. They didn't back in. Like, you know, it wasn't a situation like they backed into the NCAA tournament, because they did. If they would have played Arkansas State, it might have been completely different. them canceling that game is probably the reason they got in. I don't agree with doing it, but that is the truth of what happened. But since then, since that day when they found out they were in the NCAA tournament and going to the Coral Gables Regional, and you had that video of them losing their mind, they have been on a mission. 5 straight wins. Every big play they have made. Excellent defense. I mean, it was a big time environment, and I'm so proud of what they did. Anyway, BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports information. Find all the latest sports developments, news, and odds, including this year's basketball championship matchup, the NHL Hockey Conference Finals, Major League Baseball, and of course, the latest fighting news from MMA and UFC to boxing. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and more. If you see on the bottom, you can see that Ole Miss is a 21.5-point favorite against Troy in week 1 of the football season. Also, the other thing is the regular season win total is currently at 7.5. So, if you agree, if you disagree, there's a place that you can go to bet that one way or another. So that's the BetOnline futures coming up, and it won't be futures for much longer. But it'll be really cool to see. We're going to hear from our take a break here for a second. When we come back, we're going to talk about Hunter Elliot and why that was so impressive, and Dylan Delucia and the weapon that our pitching has now become. So stick around. The Ultimate NBA mock draft starts June 16th with over 50 insiders. Nothing equals the Ultimate NBA mock draft. The Locked On NBA Big Board draft experts plus Audacity insiders. First pick is June 16th. Search the Ultimate NBA mock draft to follow now so you don't miss a pick. So that's the Ultimate NBA mock draft. So that'll be pretty big. That's one of the benefits of being on the Locked On Network is we have all these extra things. It's like an on-demand radio station depending on what you're interested in. And if you do it right, you can have experts from all over telling you what is going on. Anyway, Ole Miss, 15 runs over 2 days. Only one of them via the home run. I'm really hung up on that, and I will be. And I'll ask Derek about it tomorrow and all of that. And Fathers of the Week, we'll tell you what's going on later on. We have a surprise for you as well. But I have trouble keeping a secret. I need to keep a secret just for a couple more days to make sure nobody else matches it. So, big secret coming that I'm going to ruin. But whatever. Anyway, Hunter Elliot and Dylan Delucia. 2 shutouts in a Super Regional. Seriously, 2 shutouts in a Super Regional. 10-0, 5-0, 2 shutouts. They absolutely both were nails. 2 completely different types of pitchers. Now, through 4 series in the SEC, in SEC play, Ole Miss's ERA was around 8. I'll say it again. Ole Miss's ERA was around 8 through 4 series. Then Mike started really tinkering. And part of his tinkering was elevating Dylan Delucia, who pitched really well early in the season, if you'll remember correctly, against UCF. And Hunter Elliot, who essentially only had 1 midweek at that point, but looked really good doing it. And he saw some potential. And they became the first 2 pitchers. And we've always kind of had a problem on Sunday, but we've kind of figured it out through our bullpen arms. Because you got guys in Dylan Delucia and Hunter Elliot that can eat up innings. Save your bullpen. And then on Sunday, you can kind of just piece it together and Johnny Holstaff this. Now, it's really, really impressive the way they've improved. 4 series through the SEC. When we started SEC play, and if you remember correctly when we were talking about it, everything going on, we were down, and they have fixed it to the point where now pitching is probably the strength of this team. When they mash, they can mash. They can absolutely mash at time, and they can eat up bad pitching. But Now they only need 3 or 4 runs as opposed to needing 9 or 10 earlier in the year. Once they got that pitching fixed, something clicked. And against Arkansas, they started to suspect that pitching was fixed. I think that's the point that it turned around. And in Omaha, things get a little bit different. Okay? Ole Miss's first game will be Saturday. So Dylan Delucia will go out there against Oregon State or Auburn on Saturday. Then there's a 2-day rest. Monday will be Hunter Elliot. There's a 2-day rest. Wednesday. So we're talking Saturday to Wednesday potentially for Dylan Delucia. If Mike wanted to be crazy, he could literally 2-starter this all the way into the championship series because of the way the games are spaced out. And you can save that bullpen. You can eat up. You can do whatever you need to do because that is a big park in Omaha, and we have 2 pitchers that you don't really hit the ball solid against. You'll look up and catch Dylan Delucia a couple of times. That'll happen, but you don't really hit Hunter Elliot solid, and because of that, I'm not really worried about the long ball in Omaha. So throw your fly balls, do whatever you have to do, and watch as players eat it up. Also, we're going to talk in the next segment about TJ McCants and why that was probably such a big homer. I am very happy for him. It wasn't a great Sunday for Tim Elko. Kevin Graham also came out of a little bit of a slump. Justin Bench got a hit. Jacob Gonzalez, as powerful as he is, did the bunt that started the whole thing off in the first. I was all about that. I like it when people bunt against the shift. They need to be punished for trying it. So, should be interesting. And I think our pitching staff is pretty well positioned to be pretty good in Omaha. Because of the break, it's going to seem bigger than it has been. Even through the regionals and through the super regional, it's going to be a bit bigger seeming than it has been because of all the break that happens in between games in Rosenblatt Stadium or TD Ameritrade or whatever they're calling it now. But it should be really cool. Now, I'm looking forward and I'm very excited. We're going to talk about this the next segment. We're going to talk about players that broke out of slumps, and we're going to talk about Ole Miss scoring 14 runs via manufacturing. Not relying on a 3-run homer, not doing anything like that. They did it playing old-fashioned baseball and just knocked the cover up. It was a big part at Pete Taylor, and Ole Miss was able to really mix things up as well. But we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about that. And basically, we're going to talk about feeling good and a lot of cathartic experience that is happening right now because of this team. All right. Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review us on iTunes. You can put on there that I do not know what I'm talking about. I have weird guests and crazy opinions, and I look at sports in a completely different way. But just leave a 5-star review. That'll help us out greatly. Leave a 5-star review and help us out. Now, I'm just really excited. It's going to say Omaha on the thumbnail, and we're going to have fun with it, and I'm going to release it early, and I hope everybody enjoys this. But the thing that I need you to know, absolutely need you to understand, is that now any of the 8 teams can win this tournament. With Tennessee going out, there is not a chance of a team just big boying their way through. That doesn't exist anymore. Stanford's 0-1. Oregon State's 0-1. So right now, probably the best team that is clinched is probably Texas A&M. And we play with them too. So Ole Miss really hit the ball on Tuesday. I think they put up a 6 or 7 spot in the 6th inning, or on Saturday, I should say. And what they did is they just really punished the fact that Southern Miss played their infield in. They put their infield in a lot because I don't think they had much confidence in them hitting the ball, which, looking back on it, was absolutely warranted. But there was many line drives that were hit in a row whenever that big inning happened that might not have happened if the infield was played back. But Ole Miss was able to do that, completely destroyed the will of Southern Mississippi. You had to repair that mindset if you're a Golden Eagle, if you're a Southern Miss fan. All the tightness, all the pressure at that point. When Ole Miss won that first game, all of that fell on you. And Southern's going to say the right thing. USM's going to do the right thing. But they didn't have confidence they were going to win that game. They didn't. You can see it on the players' field. They were going to go out and give their best, but they weren't absolutely sure they were going to win. Ole Miss was absolutely positively sure that they were going to win this game. There was no tightness, everything, the Mike Bianco super regional thing, nothing, none of that. This was the perfect super regional. And if you look at it, Ole Miss is, let's see, Mike Bianco was there, 2001? So 2001 to 2013, no trips to Omaha. It's 12 years. In 10 years, 2 trips to Omaha. So it's gone up. Next 10 years, who knows? Maybe it's 4, maybe it's 6. I don't know. But he deserves the right to find out. Any talk about him and his job is completely wasted effort and wasted time. He's going to be extended. He's going to sit there and enjoy all the political capital he can possibly enjoy. The biggest slump buster in this super regional was Mike Bianco, period. There's nobody that can talk about anything negative about Mike Bianco. It's gone. It's over. You can complain about the close but no cigar over the last couple of years, but they went 3 straight years, and this year they made it. They kicked the door down. Now, what if they go next year? Let's see. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but it'll be interesting to see. Now, Kevin Graham is a huge slump buster that I saw today. Him getting a hit and driving in a run was a big thing for his confidence. When he's going well, this offense is a well-oiled machine. And Tanner Hall was a tough dude to hit. That changeup was pretty special. And it matched his fastball almost perfectly. And we sat there and talked about what he looked like and what he did and everything and how Ole Miss needed to just wear him down, work pitch counts, and make him throw the ball. It was 140 degrees on that turf. Make him tired, and eventually he would crack. He ended up with the high pitch numbers. He was the first one to crack. Ole Miss had a 3-run inning, and at that point, it was essentially over. The only hope that Southern had today was to score first. Like I said, they did not truly believe they could win. They were a good team, but I honestly don't know if they thought they could win. Just plain and simple. So, but it was good for Kevin Graham to hit that home run and get out of that slump. Now, the big one was T.J. McCants. I don't think y'all realize how valuable he could be in those wide open spaces in Rosenblatt. If he has a good bat and everything's going good, he has a chance to be fairly special hitting the ball. And him, in his one plate appearance for the weekend, walks up and hits the only home run, the only Ole Miss player to leave the yard. That was absolutely huge and had to be big for his confidence. We'll see once they get up to Omaha and start practicing what goes on. I'm curious to what the lineup will look like. I'm sure it will probably look like what it has, because why change when things are working so well? I think in the last 3 games is 22-6, 10-0, so that's 32-6, and 5-0, that's 37-6 over 3 games. That's a regional final and 2 super regional games. They won by a 37-6 margin. That's not joking around. That's legit. There's no really way that you can downplay that. This was the perfect super regional. Now, I think sometimes there are Ole Miss fans, and I'm not judging them at all. Don't hear that. But I think this is the mindset that people need to understand what's going on. The season that Tennessee had this year is the expectation and the bar where they put Ole Miss at. Anything below that, they underachieved. And take what Tennessee did in a super regional like what just happened in Omaha. They want a dominant team. And that team doesn't exist yet. It just doesn't. And I think the expectations are a little bit overblown on that one. But you got your super regional here. All Ole Miss fans should be happy. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. And now they've got the Oregon State Beavers and the Auburn Tigers on Saturday as one of 8 teams playing for the national championship of college baseball. This is the big time that Ole Miss fans have been wanting. This has been the tonic that they have needed. This has been everything that they have craved. They went in 2014 and experienced it. Now they go back for that second taste. And they're hot. Oh, they are lava hot at the moment. And when we talk to Derek Vandegrift, I'm sure he will give his perspectives on what he saw in this game. And this is all based off of what I saw and what's going on. It was one of those things, I had the ESPN app, and it was about 4 minutes behind the Hulu app. So my wife was watching on the Hulu app, and I was on the ESPN app, and I didn't want to get up and move because getting up and move might mean bad luck. Could have, you guys understand. So I had to watch the game basically 4 minutes behind. But this was an unbelievable day. I'm really happy. And everybody that watches this show should be happy as well. Because this was earned and it was really good to see. And honestly, we were due. Whenever people look say we were due, Ole Miss was due. And I don't think anybody can actually argue that. Southern Miss, like I said, great team. 47 wins this year. They hosted a regional. They hosted the super regional. They just ran into a buzzsaw. And that buzzsaw's name was Dylan Delucia and Hunter Elliot. They just couldn't hit him. Because like I told you last week, you can want to win as much as you want to. But it all comes down to hitting a round ball with a round bat solidly. If you are too jacked up, you're not going to be able to do that. So we go to Omaha, and we are going to tell you our plans going forward. But tomorrow we're going to have Derek Vandegrift, and we are going to continue to talk about the Southern Miss game and to look ahead to who Ole Miss is playing, if that information is even out at that point. So it should be really, really, really cool. So thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen today. Now make your second listen Locked On NBA Big Board podcast. Raphael Barlow, Richard Strayman, Sam Ferris, and Leif Tholen give fans in-depth looks into the biggest prospects, the latest rankings, and of course, big boards. Follow Locked On NBA Big Board every day on the Audacity app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. Anyway, it's been a great show. This has been a lot of fun, and this is one that I've looked forward to all year. Remember, since the Locked On Ole Miss show existed, we've got a Sugar Bowl and a College World Series. Just saying. I'll see you tomorrow.